right, now we're hot.
Okay.
Now we're hot. So April, the world goes to shit again for somebody here. But shall we?
I love it. Let's do it. Whatever.
Hello, everyone. Oh my God, it is ShiftLess. Can you believe it? And even betterer. Special guest announcement coming very soon. But look, I got to roll out of this music. Take it down. But hey, Happy New Year, everyone. Do that. Nope, we don't want that. There we go. All right.
The rumors of our demise were widely misreported.
Well, maybe not. It was touch and go there for a little bit, and who knows? Maybe it's touch and go after today.
Are you quitting me?
We may self-destruct. We may not be able to survive all the greatness
if you can't get out of your own way.
Exactly. I've forgotten how to do this shit.
It was quite humorous watching you flounder.
Appreciate the support.
Hey, I'm here.
And also in the room, actually, we're in his house.
In the house
with the one, the only
DJ Khaled.
My. You guys, some things don't change and some things stay the same. A wise man once said, I think that was Shakespeare or Aristotle.
The main thing that stays the same is we're a couple of dipshits.
I got to apologize for this table that I set up for us because apparently it's Jesus. That's just me setting my.
Yeah, we don't want to use the table.
Yeah, don't even touch it.
For a percussion guy, you sure don't understand acoustics.
I literally set up the drum table.
Yeah, you did.
Speaking of drums, can I plug?
Go for it.
So literally the band's back together. Listen to that table.
No,
not yet.
I can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So I'm not allowed to pick anything up and set it down.
We can't use this table.
We're gonna have to put our computers on our lap, literally.
It's ridiculous.
We can pause. I can put a blanket over the top. But yeah, this is the worst table. It's like
no. I want to hear about the band. Then we'll figure out production value bullshit.
So for a little over 15 years, on and off, I've been in a Weezer tribute band.
You've been in the same band?
Called yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We've been doing this for 15 years, off and on.
So it's amazing. I had no clue.
And we all met on Craigslist, which is even weirder. And now,
wait a minute.
Misconnections, Craigslist.
Well.
But were glory holes involved?
No, it was not on that page. It was not on that page.
Did Vic Dean have to vet you?
Oh, that's how you got into North Shore.
That is through the backside of the glory hole.
Probably started at LB Houston. But anyway, okay. So Weezer tribute band, 15 years.
Yeah, it's called Geezer, and we dress up like old men and women.
Well, you don't have to dress up anymore.
Well, that's the funny thing is the other day we were joking around that when we got a pass to get out of the retirement home, and there's a little bit of theatrics going on, and everything's centered around these old people that are playing these party songs. But we were joking around the other day at practice that it's like, shit, man, we're almost at the point of not having to be theatrical about how old we are. Like no longer accepting, no longer accepting gigs where we have to play past 11.
Well, the sad, well, maybe it's not sad. It's just the way of life. Basically, anybody that's into Weezer is getting up there in age these days.
Yeah, we noticed the crowd's getting older too.
That's true.
A couple of weeks ago, we played at Cheap Steaks in Deep Ellum in Dallas, and that went well. It was our first show in 5 years, and then we have a show next Friday, the 17th, at the Cicada in Fort Worth.
I don't even know what the Cicada is.
It's a small music venue.
It's only open every 12 years.
Yeah, but when it does open, there's millions of them.
Is it 7?
It's millions of them when it opens. And it's very loud. So anyway, that's fun. That's been going on.
Well,
we've been doing that.
Congratulations. Maybe I'll make it to the Cicada.
You should come to the Cicada. Everyone should come and have a good time. It's Weezer party songs. It's men dressed as old men and women. It's a hoot.
And you are the percussionist.
I am the percussionist.
You are the driver of the
You gonna play
cowbells.
this tape?
Oh my God. This is the worst thing I've ever done is put the table. I thought I was like doing us a solid where we weren't having to sit on the couch.
No, you're good.
Solid
It's
would have
literally-
been good.
It's literally
Solid would have
not
been good.
a solid.
Exactly.
I'm doing you guys a hollow. Yeah, if you're interested in checking out and seeing proof, our website is thosegeezerjerks.com.
Those geezer.
Geezer.
Jerks.
Geezer.com.
So anyway, but it's good to see you guys.
You
I haven't
too,
seen
man.
I haven't seen you, Kevin, in months with an S emphasis.
There are plurals involved with that.
I see
month.
this jerk off all the time, but
Not,
you know,
not
I
as
still
much
don't,
as I'd like.
but I still don't get used to it.
Yeah.
It's never enough. But it's good to see you guys back, and
Yeah, the audience is loving this love fest.
the dog's finally settled. She's relaxed and laying down.
She's my girl.
And she came in when Kevin came in. She came running and barking and telling me he was here, and she gets excited. So anyway,
She's such a good girl.
hey, does this podcast? It's been a while since I've been on. Do you guys still talk about bikes? Or
No,
have y'all moved
no.
on to a new subject?
No,
Or?
we talk about RVs and watches now,
Mm,
and
Interesting.
old man bands.
oh, got that covered.
Before we get on bikes, I just want to tell you that steering wheel warmers are like one of the best luxuries in the world.
Do you have one in your car? In your
Yeah.
truck?
It was awesome.
Okay.
Got in, was driving over here, and I was just like,
I didn't know you had such sensitive hands. I thought
I
chefs
tell
have
you
like
what,
hardcore
yeah.
burnt hands. You don't have feeling in your
You should-
fingertips.
I don't, but
his
a
hand-
20-degree steering
he should
wheel
be
versus a
just
60-degree
complete
steering wheel.
calluses all the
Yeah.
way from fingertips to wrist, right?
I'm actually surprised he has all his fingers.
I do have pretty good calluses.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Both hands?
Nah.
Just the one.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Mhm.
Psh, whatever, paper shufflers.
Did you get a new watch, Kevin? I see a bright orange band.
Oh, I've had it for months.
It's been that long. It's already out of warranty.
Oh.
Bicycles.
Bicycles. There's so much going on in bicycles. Literally. I did want to touch, I don't know if you guys have seen this reversed raised stem that's out, that's more of a downhill kind of thing. I'm only telling you about it so I can tell you more about it. See the premise?
Oh,
so basically
yeah.
the stem is directly above your steer tube.
Oh, I
On-
have seen that in the past. I
So-
think we talked about it once.
I think we did, but Radivis actually did a review on it. I haven't read the whole review, but it seems like they
endorse.
came into it with a lot of skepticism, rightfully so.
Right.
But when I brought that whole thing up just to say that when you look at the bike setup and where it actually positions the bars, it seems silly that they're doing all that just to get a flat bar where it is when they could just run a short stem and run a low rise, old school BMX bar that has a crossbar going across it. It would do the exact same thing. That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
I'm like,
I
why
understand.
are you putting all this leverage on your system if you don't have to? Doesn't make any sense to me. But like I said, I haven't read the whole review, but
so sometimes you have to differentiate yourself from the market for what
yeah.
whatever tools are at your disposal. I mean, Redshift has done a fantastic job of that over the years, where they do things that are completely different from what anyone else is doing at the time.
They definitely do.
And some of it is, and this is not me being a Redshift cuck. I'm just using them as an example. Some of it is fantastic. Some of it, maybe for me, it misses the mark, but maybe for Caleb, it works great. We don't know. And I'm still getting echoey.
So what's the benefit? Does this work for people with, is this a bike fit thing to where you don't have to reach so far? But because you if you want, it just seems odd for a downhill bike because you would want to be leaning forward on some of the areas, but maybe it prevents A over T's because you're not leaning so far over the
So
wheel?
essentially, it positions you further back, makes the control a lot more snappy.
It's supposed to be a weight distribution thing.
Yeah,
right?
so he literally says that he he dropped 20 psi from his fork and
So-
adjusted his front tire pressure.
So I guess the key is it brings your shoulders and your core a little further over the bottom bracket to get you more centered. Maybe
Essentially.
is that
I think
is that
so,
the theory
yeah.
or the physics behind
That-
it?
if I remember correctly,
Okay.
essentially, that was the gist of it. I remember, I'm assuming we talked about it before because I did a year ago or more.
Yeah,
Watch the manufacturer's video or something from the manufacturer.
It's just a single guy that
Yeah,
designed it and
yeah.
CNC'd it, and
Yeah.
it's been his undertaking.
And much like our peddling innovations guy, that was
Mhm.
James, right?
James Wilson.
This guy did a really good job of selling his product, and
Yeah.
I don't know if making me a believer would be the right way, but it's like, okay, maybe it's worth digging a little deeper.
It almost would seem on the surface that it was made almost tongue in cheek at the beginning, because stems were just getting shorter and shorter to where people were putting the stem where it was almost touching
Yeah.
the steer tube.
Slam it, bro.
And it seems like this guy
Well,
just went.
It's just the cross,
now-
cross piece, and just
now they're
directly
going.
onto
Now
the
they're
upright.
going below. They're actually going in reverse, going down, turning
Well,
down.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I get that, but I'm talking about like, here's the steer tube, here's the handlebar.
Yeah, not even a 20 millimeter stem.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
just
yeah.
kept bringing
a
it back
0
and back
millimeter
and back.
stem.
Yeah. And so it just seems like this guy went,
If we're going to
40
get
millimeters isn't short enough. Let's
Yeah.
just put it on top.
Yeah.
if we're going to get ridiculous, let me
Yeah.
show you ridiculous.
So one of the things that I think is cool is that we not predict this kind of thing about 6-7 months ago. We were doing an episode and we were talking about maybe it was when we were talking about the future, what's going to happen in 25, and we were talking about macro innovations instead of the bike as a whole.
Yeah.
Talking about individual specific parts, because like as far as we know, what's left for geometry for bikes, I mean, it's not a whole lot you can do. You can kind of play around, but whatever angle you make one adjustment for, it's going to make adjustments on other angles of the bike. But here we've got a particular component they're really kind of pushing the innovation here.
Well,
and
I
trying
mean,
something new.
along those lines, I mean, I guess if this does become somewhat of a thing, then you start addressing it at all the other geometry angles as well to refine and fine tune and build around that potentially. Which I get it. Some people go, well, that's ridiculous. That'll never happen. But I mean, essentially that was the big change in 29ers from 2009 to 2012. They got the geometry dialed in.
Yeah. Because I remember running like 140 stems back in the day, or 120s.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're a fool if you're running an 80 almost.
Right.
So it's but that makes me think too, because I was thinking the same thing as Caleb initially, especially when I saw the side profile of this bike, because the seat, the saddle, and the handlebars look so close together.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a realization.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been riding a 0 stem. That's what it prompted.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's straight.
Oh yeah. True,
Yeah.
true.
Ape hangers.
Yeah.
It's straight up. It's straight up and down, and no rake in the fork whatsoever. The saddle's right up against it.
Yeah, and it's super twitchy.
It's a little twitchy.
It's a little twitchy.
It's a little, but you know what? It's for the right use case, it really does make a ton of sense. Believe it or not.
Mm.
I'm very interested in. I've been riding their C line. Brad even threw it. I should have brought it for you.
A C line?
The Brompton C line is what they call their commuter one. 16-inch wheels, folds up really small, but the angles are not. It's not a Roubaix bike by any stretch of the imagination. But for the right use case, it was extremely handy. It was fantastic when we had the camper loaded up.
C, as in cat, not
as in commuter.
Not
C is in
SEALION.
C line.
C line.
Yeah, Brompton has the
Not
C
C-line.
line, their commuter line. They have
There
an
it is.
A line. They have a T line, which is their titanium.
Ooh.
Titanium.
I'm very fascinated by that. And coming out with their G line, it's available in Europe, but coming out with their G line in the U.S., which is their gravel specific one, which I'm definitely fascinated by. But yeah, just stick around. Watch a Spinistry video somewhere down the road. We'll be talking about our Brompton. Interesting use cases. It makes a lot of sense. We went camping last weekend. Not able to carry a bike and the camper. Traditional bike. Folded up the Brompton bike. Got to ride my bike. Had fun. Well worth it.
Where'd you go camping?
It was Lake Fayette Lake.
Mm-hmm.
We were scouting for our Harmony Hall gravel grinder out of Shelby.
Very nice.
And it's a campground we've been using for years, and I'll be using again this weekend. And that's how we rang in the new year.
Very cool.
Was out camping, and drug it with me to Florida when I buzzed over to help out Mom and Dad. And it wasn't appropriate to lug a full bike into their house, so I just brought the folding bike and was able to get out. And
you don't need a bike rack for a folding bike, I hear.
It fits right down in the floorboard very nicely.
Nice.
So, anyway, enough Brompton. What does this guy call this stem setup?
Be More Bikes. Hold on. Let me scroll up to the top.
So we can send people to it that are going, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Yeah, it's called Be More Bikes. BEMORE Bikes.
And what's the website address?
Oh, I don't know. I was looking at the review on Radivist.
It's just a Radivist review?
It's called the raised reverse stem.
Raised reverse stem.
It's an extended review. I mean, it's a long review. Okay. I haven't read the whole thing.
Somebody do me a favor and actually email me the link while we're here.
I can do it right now.
Can you do it? Do you know who? I bet I can do it faster.
I'm sure you can.
And I will make a point to include the Radivist review link in the show notes. How about that?
Can we point out how proud we are of Brad? He got him a new brand spanking. Does it still smell like a new computer?
It doesn't belong to me yet. It still belongs to Apple. Just to be clear, I didn't go down and put $2,000 on a barrelhead and say, hey, give me a computer.
Now, full disclosure, you did ask me where to put the quarters in.
Yeah.
We had to correct that.
Yeah, they gave me $100 trade-in on my old computer.
Damn.
How generous. How generous.
That's $99 more than what I expected. You made money off that.
Well, it was only $200 to double the memory on this. Mm-hmm. And so I traded in my computer. So basically it cost me $100 to go from 500 gigabits.
Yeah.
Gigabytes.
Yeah.
Gigabytes.
500 gigabits.
To a terabyte.
A terabit.
That was only $200 upgrade.
That's not bad.
That's very un-Apple. I think
I was like, yes.
I think they felt sorry for him.
Must have.
They don't even know me.
I'm proud of you. You deserve, honestly, full disclosure, you deserved a new computer. You needed to spend some money on yourself.
I'm not seeing my link.
It's a business write-off.
He hasn't sent it yet.
I'm trying to send it. I got distracted.
You can't computer and talk at the same time.
Look, here it is.
All right.
Oh, man.
I love you.
And I am having so much trouble multitasking anymore. It's ridiculous.
You know what I've done? I've turned off almost all notifications on my phone. I don't know how. I know you're a Dingle Droid user, but with Apple, you can set custom focus times, and you can allow certain specific notifications. So, like during work, when I'm trying to focus, tap it. The only people that can get through to me are like 4 members of my family, and that's it. I mean, and it helps me focus.
When I'm talking multitasking, I'm not talking this minutia stuff. I mean, I'm just like broad stroke life stuff. I can either concentrate on work or I can concentrate on bike riding. I can't do both, sort of thing.
You need some horse blinders.
You need some Adderall.
No, you don't want that.
It's ShiftLess at gmail.com.
Spinistry@gmail.com would probably work better,
and the email is shiftless live. You've been doing this for what, 2 years? He still doesn't have it.
It's shiftlesslive@gmail.com.
Well, that's where I'm sending it because it's show related.
It's not going to go to him though.
It won't
if it's the wrong address.
Well, I mean, I do have that email address. I just don't know that I have it in this phone.
Spinistry.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
At gmail.com.
I will check it. I'll check it when I get home on the real computer.
Oh, I've sent it to both of them.
Oh, what a shock. Do you know how to CC?
I did. I didn't CC. I just put them both in the... So now you can just reply all, BCC it.
Love it.
Love exactly.
Love it.
BCC it is exactly the same thing as reply all.
And you can BBC it too.
Are we going to get snow, or is it just going to be one of those things?
Oh, we're going to
where-
get snow.
You think so?
It may not be
It's going to be somewhere between a quarter of an inch and 2 feet.
Yeah.
They can't make up their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delkus hasn't made up his mind yet. I think we're going to get snow. I think it's going to stick. And then I think it's going to maybe stick around for a couple of days. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to fuck it up anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's one of the predictable, beautiful things about Texas
Mhm.
is nobody knows how to drive in the snow
Mhm.
for the most part.
Mhm.
Nobody knows how to act. Everybody panics. Everybody acts like the world's going to end, and it lasts for a couple of days. And then
It's very I me mine as
What?
far as like gas and groceries and bread and
Mhm.
going to the grocery store. Like it's madness.
I am
I went
going
the
to the
other day.
grocery store after I leave here.
Yeah, this is probably the better time. Do not go after 3:00.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm not going in there to clear shelves. I'm just going to get my kids need some peanut butter, and I want
Mhm.
a couple of eggs.
Kay and I were cleaning the kitchen last night, and she said, I was too busy at work today. I didn't have time to check the news. What's the latest on the snow? And I said, well, you know how they said it might be between 11 and 10 to 11 inches. I said, now it's probably closer to 5. And she said, story of my life.
Saw that train a-coming.
Choo-choo. She delivers.
Yeah. She's good. I've met her a couple of times. She's a pretty nice lady.
She was here. Kevin got to see her before she left for work.
Oh, is that why you told me to
No,
wait?
I did have a meet. Kevin didn't get the
I-
Kevin didn't get the notification.
Well, I was driving at the time.
Kevin knows that message very
I
well.
had I had a meeting that ran long, and then it didn't run as long as I thought it was going to be. So I was done by the time he got here anyway.
Bicycles.
Shiny. Squirrel.
I have a bicycle story.
Oh, well, I'm all ears.
Man,
So you ride bicycles?
it better be good.
It's not going to be good. I'm telling it. We went down this past weekend to Sam Houston National Forest, Huntsville area, and did an overnighter with the Houston crew.
We as in who?
I'm about to clarify.
Okay.
Adam, and my buddy Red, you may or may not know that guy.
Great guy, beautiful man.
Beautiful man. And we met up with Breg and Shannon in Leger. And then there was another guy that was there, Mike. Barely met him. We took off on Saturday morning about 9:00, and Sunday looked a little questionable at the time, but Saturday wasn't promised either. I mean, it was, it could have went either way, but they've been cutting this course, and we were there to proof it.
Who's they?
Breg and Shannon.
They've been able to cut trail in the.
Well, so
What had happened was,
I say cut trail, but what they've been doing is revitalizing old Forest Service roads that were just cluttered with downfall and overgrowth.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing work days out there to clear these corridors that have been pretty much unpassable before,
Okay.
or not something you would even want to ride. The first 30 miles that we rode were about like going to Sycamore Bend.
Yeah.
Slow going. Even when it was clear, it was just like riding a resistance trainer.
Yeah.
You're putting out twice as much effort. It's pine straw covered
On top of sand.
On top of sand.
Yeah.
Then there were some wet spots. There were still trees down that you had to go either over or under. It was not easy.
Is this a known published route yet?
So
that
that's what
people
I'm saying. We went out there to proof it because they're going to submit it to bikepacking.com.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So day one was 65 miles. Great route. Even the roads were some of the most gorgeous roads. There was one that's all like crushed red rock, and it was canopied, just rolling hills. And then even the blacktop that we ended up on was just this nice little roller, super smooth, like glass, especially after being in all the stuff we're in. But our boy Mike, back to him real quick, we're like, I don't know, within 10 minutes, we stopped to put our rain jackets on because it started raining. And I was like, this is going to be a good day. Because we didn't look at radars or anything. We were just like, it's time to jacket on.
Yeah. If you bring a jacket, you don't have to look at the radar.
Yeah, that's true. So we rode in the rain for a while, and I guess it wasn't that long, but we stopped at one point to wait for Mike because this guy shows up on a single speed gravel bike.
Steele? Mike Steele?
No, not Mike Steele.
Oh.
He was on a Storm Chaser.
Oh, nice.
And he was running a 3617, I believe. Tall gear.
It is.
So
and that Storm Chaser, I don't think it can get larger than 45s on it.
Yeah, I think
some skinny wheels skinny tires for a little BPing.
And about 10 miles in, I was thinking, what did I get myself into? And I couldn't help but think, I got a whole pie plate back on my wheel. I've got a 51 or 52 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's got a 17
mm-hmm.
and gravel tires.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped at one point to wait on him, and he catches up and he goes, hey guys, I slashed my tire, but my wife's already on her way. And I'm like, fortuitous. I was like, we can fix it. I've got a patch. I've got a boot. I even lied and I go, I've got needle and thread. Let's see what we can do. He goes, oh no, it's unrepairable.
I've got Justin Carey on speed dial.
He goes, oh no, it's unrepairable. So, okay. So it dwindled down to the crew that I knew, and we rode that whole day and just had a blast. We stopped and ate at this, literally it's called Hidden Lake. And just sat there next to this lake that's in the middle of nowhere. That you have to go off the beaten path. There's just this little game trail that goes there. It was pretty cool.
You said Leger. Is that LJ?
Dennis Leger.
Oh, Dennis Leger. Yeah, I know Dennis, of course.
And had a great campsite other than the fact that there was a bunch of screaming, 8-year-old girls there. But they went to bed early, but they also woke up super early. But the weather was amazing. We had a great little campfire and everything, but we woke up the next morning and the weather had gotten a little more ominous. So we were like, let's lick our wounds and just get going. So we were packed up rolling before 8 a.m. and we decided to roll in. I mean, it started raining before we even got out of the park almost. We stopped and put jackets on and rolled into town. I guess it's not New Waverly. I can't remember what the name of it. Oh, Cold Springs, I think. Rolled into the town, went to the donut shop, and then we decided that we were just going to take the road. It was still 40 plus miles to get back to where we started. I told Bragg, I said, I really don't want to ride 65 miles of gravel roads in the pouring rain and ride through muck and nastiness, because a lot of those roads are they don't call them B roads, but I forget what they're called.
Probably C roads.
Well, unmaintained.
Yeah, unmaintained. But I told him, I said, the other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to ride on a 1 foot wide shoulder in a 70 mile an hour zone with 18 wheelers passing us
in the rain.
On a heavy bike.
On a heavy bike, which is exactly what we did. So Sunday sucked. And my legs were pretty dead. But, and you couldn't draft. I couldn't, because there was just water spraying in your face.
Yeah.
And it was going all over my glasses. Couldn't see. So I had to either do this and draft, or I had to hang back. And it was a rough day, but.
Was it like a Wood Ape Ramble 2?
No.
Not that bad.
That was.
You said,
that was a lot more enjoyable.
So I'm hung up on something. You said there were a bunch of loud 8-year-old girls. Are you sure you weren't describing the group that you were with?
No.
Because one could argue that a group of adult male bikepackers could be confused for a group of 8-year-old loud girls.
What was the overnight camp area?
We camped in, I guess it's Huntsville State Park.
Okay. So you camped in a state park?
Where Double Lake, we rode some of the Double Lake Trail to get to our campsite.
Okay.
Yeah. But it just cracked me up because the whole day Sunday, Breg just kept going, weather's always a factor. He must have said it 5 or 6 times. I was like, yeah, dickhead. I've heard that before.
So he thought it was original from him, I'm sure.
No, he was poking fun at us.
Total mileage?
It was like 105.
With probably 1,100 feet of climbing in that area?
No, it was actually a lot hillier than you think. That was my surprising thing, because I was like, well, good thing it's flat here. But there wasn't any section that was flat. Now, it wasn't super climby, don't get me wrong, but I had, here's day one elevation right here.
Oh,
now granted, it 2,300 over 65 miles, but there was a couple of decent climbs. There's a decent climb at the end, but it wasn't anything crazy. But all of this stuff right here, all unimproved pretty much till past the halfway point. And there was literally pieces that I've got some pictures. We rode over this bridge that, had there not have been a weight limit sign that was probably from the 50s, you wouldn't have even realized it was a bridge.
Yeah.
Because
it was so covered over.
It was covered with grass. There was trees growing on it. I mean, it was wild. But it was much like Wood Ape Ramble, where we get on a couple of those roads, and if it wasn't for the clearing through the trees, you wouldn't even know it used to be a road. Mm-hmm. That's how some of these were. It was just looked like a corridor through the woods, but it was blanketed with grass and, littered with pine straw.
They've been trying for years to get access to those roads again, and for whatever reason, the Forest Service just kept saying no, and finally they're letting them do it. And it used to be for some silly reasons, what bridges that were out that for that type of riding don't really matter, sort of. It
doesn't really matter. That's what's so ridiculous. But we got on this one road that it seemingly was just nothing but mushrooms. There was one, I started calling it the yellow orange mushrooms, and it would just be blankets of them. It was wild.
Were those the kind that go on Magic Pizza, or those the kind that take you to the ER?
I don't know. Like, here's one of the corridors we rode.
Oh, yeah.
This is the bridge. This is a bridge. You can hear it, I know. Yeah.
That's a bridge?
That's a bridge. You can see the side of it right here. Let me see if I can find a better picture.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Take it off the table, Brad.
That's a bridge.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
All right, send me that picture.
Gently.
Send me that picture too. I'll make that the cover photo. We haven't done a cover photo in a while.
Do the one with red on the front. That's who we want to see.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's the weight limit sign. This was Hidden Lake. Mushrooms.
Our viewers can't see what you're showing me. Wow.
She was girthy too.
Yeah.
You see all these mushrooms?
Yeah.
So this is what the road surface was like that we're riding on. It's pine bark.
Yeah.
Pine straw, mushrooms, sticks.
At least you didn't have mud. So all that sandy.
There was some mud. But anyways, it was a great trip. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really cool to go to someone else's backyard and enjoy something, that not many people would derive enjoyment from, and B, get shown what your buddies are working on and have a mutual enjoyment. You know, it's kind of like if they came up here and we took them like to Sycamore Bend or something, they'd be like, "Oh, this is what you guys."
What
ride.
is Sycamore Bend?
It's
That's the second time you mentioned it. I don't know what you're alluding to when you say that.
It's super secret.
Oh, that's fine.
It is not.
I don't know what it is.
It's Old Alton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That rolls all the way into Hickory Creek.
Okay.
Yeah.
I follow what you're saying.
Hickory Creek City, not Hickory Creek.
Now, bringing up Shannon and Bragg, that reminds me of somewhat of a bike story I have.
Okay.
Is that okay, or am I stepping on your toes here?
No, not at all.
Bring it.
I was
I'm
trying
tired of hearing him talk.
I was trying to land the plane.
Yeah, you mentioning them reminded me, and this was part of our Harmony Hall scouting. My lovely bride, myself, and the dogs were out and about verifying routes. And I found some new stuff out that way that we're really excited about. But Jan had to visit the restroom, so we pull into the store in Industry, which is a regular stop for us. And it's a regular stop for people that are riding gravel out that way as well. People that do the Chapel Hill and some of the New Ulm and other rides out that way. That some of our Harmony Hall stuff uses some of those roads, but not much. But it does use Industry. And we pull in there, and there was a female cyclist out front checking her phone and I think having a snack or drinking a water bottle or anything like that. And Jan's like, yeah, she looks familiar. It's like, yeah, everybody looks the same in a bike kit. Not sure who that is. And Jan goes into the restroom. I've got the dogs in the truck with me. And, I told you Bailey has, he flies his husky flag, even though he's got like 18 other breeds in him. And as Jan starts to walk in, the dogs just start howling and singing and everything like that. And which, if Jan goes too far away, they do that for a couple seconds and they shut up. But Jan went in the door and they just kept going and going and going. And I look behind me and they're staring at this woman on the bike, just singing at her. Just, okay. But I've got the windows up in the truck, dark tent, and she starts looking around like, what the fuck? She's like, are there coyotes here or what's going on? She doesn't know what it is. Lady walks out of the front of the store. She starts looking around, what the hell is this? It's like, right. So I roll down the window and it's like, hi. I know this is going to sound weird, but we put on bicycle events and my dogs are seeing a cyclist there. They're expecting you to say hello to them. They're going nuts.
I figured it's like they know what that is.
So, yeah, they know what it's like. Oh, they're like, we're doing Spinistry
These
stuff.
Must be friends.
These are our people. They love us.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, of course. And she comes over and I roll down the back window and she's loving all over the dogs. They're loving all over her. I introduce myself.
Can you help me get this TV in my van?
Y'all looking for free candy?
I'm
sorry, I couldn't resist.
I'm in the truck in my seatbelt, but I go, let's start telling the story. I know this is going to sound weird. We went on bicycle events. She goes, and what's your name? Kevin with Spinistry. She's like, you don't know who I am, do you? It's like, no, I'm Tiffany Want. She's the woman that completed the rat this year.
Oh, that's right.
And at the prompting of Shannon and Breg and
that's right.
And the Race Ready crew and all of them. And
that's right.
Her and I had met, but she didn't even necessarily recognize me.
Yeah.
She held it against, she's like, I thought that was you, but I wasn't sure. It's like, okay, so I don't feel. But I called it right. It's like, oh, you cut your hair. She's like, yes, I did. Okay, all right. Covered.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't recognize you. But trying to line her up for an interview on here somewhere down the road. I think that would be an interesting story.
Oh,
that'd be cool. She's, just to clarify, and this comes out of complete ignorance, but she's not the first female to complete the rat.
I believe she's the first female to complete the 1,000-mile rat.
Oh, really?
I think.
Okay.
And I say I think there's a couple of wild cards in the mix. We had a couple of COVID rat years that were super low key and unofficial. And I think there was a woman that made it to the New Mexico state line and stopped there because technically New Mexico was shut down at that point. And they...
Oh, for the vid?
Yeah. I think that was one part of it. We've had women that have completed the shorter version of the rat. I don't know that a female has completed the full 1,000-mile rat.
Yeah, very cool.
But I'm not positive of that.
Yeah, let's get her.
Anyway, so I thought that was fun. And then, of course, as we're scouting routes, we kept crossing paths with her the rest of the time. She's like, y'all are stalking me, aren't you?
So it would have all been over.
Speaking
if you
of,
just help me get the TV.
Speaking of cutting trail, as soon as the temperatures broke over summer or after summer, we started really getting after South Lake and making a lot of progress on the second loop. So loop 1's finished pretty much. There's a couple little things we need to do, but for the most part, it's finished. So we
And how many miles is loop 1?
Loop 1 is about 1 mile.
Okay.
Loop 2 is going to be about 1.5 miles. And then loop 3 will be probably a full 2.5 miles.
You're talking about adding them up.
Yep.
Cumulative.
Yep.
Not standalone.
Yeah, no, standalone.
Okay.
Yeah, individual.
So loop 3 will be 2.5 miles on its own?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, could be. Maybe let's call it 2 to 2.5. I'm kind of speculating, maybe a little
But that's
high.
utilizing a lot of the mileage that's already there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much additional mileage are we going to end up with?
Addition to what's already established,
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't have a full account of what is there and how much. I still haven't completely lined out exactly.
What do you think our total would end up?
Phase
close
1.
to?
Phase 1 is going to be about probably 4.5 miles.
Okay.
Maybe 4. And then if we can get the funding from the city to do phase 2, that's going to add another 1.5 miles. But we have to probably build a wooden platform across that entire run that's parallel to the lake that's over that berm.
Yeah.
That area floods about 1 foot of water when we get a really bad rain.
Where all those baby heads and stuff are?
No. I'm talking about further north, parallel with the lakes and going up to the school, that run.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We've never been in there to see baby heads. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, when you're coming from like La Laguna, the Mexican joint.
Oh, you're talking about the washout, what they've already put there, not what's naturally in the ground.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that
yeah.
area, that whole run from there
Yeah.
to the taco joint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would have to put
tacos.
We'd probably have to put 100 yards, maybe 60 yards of raised wooden path to be above that water. Otherwise, the trail's going to be closed half the year.
That'd be
So
fun
anyway,
though.
So we were making good progress. We had a couple of work days. Adam was out there, and we were like, the day that Adam came, we had a volunteer day, and he was the only one that showed up, and we cut almost 1/4 mile of that loop 2. Then,
Don't let Adam's soft hands fool you. He will put in a day's work.
he knows how to work.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah. So I was excited about the momentum. I was already planning at least one work day every single month. And I was projecting like, man, we may finish loop 2 in 2 months. And then my steering kept getting worse on my truck. And I took it to Briscoe again. You know this story. Kevin doesn't. Took it to Briscoe again. They was like, man, we don't know what else to do. Your tires are aligned. Your wheels are aligned. So I took it to the body shop that worked on it when I was in that wreck a couple of years ago. And they were like, buddy, your frame's bent. I'm like, what? What do you mean my frame's bent? And they're like, I said, was it still bent when you guys worked on it 2 years ago? And they go, no, we checked it. Turns out when I'd gone to Colorado, I had somehow bent my frame Tacoma-ing, doing things that Tacoma is supposed to do. So from November 1st-ish until about November 20th, it sat there waiting for insurance to figure out what they were going to do. Insurance says, no, we'll just replace the frame. I'm like, you're going to replace the frame? Yeah, we're going to replace the frame. And I said, so the body shop goes, yeah, you'll probably be ready around February 15th.
Ooh,
Oh shit.
we're failing.
Pause.
I'm going to, no.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to ShiftLess. Man,
I want you to hear the rest.
we're such a professional podcast.
I want to hear the rest of this story, then we'll go.
Okay. Do you need help? Okay.
Kevin's having technical difficulties over here. This amazing
This is the worst.
table
Yeah,
that we've
sorry.
been provided with is not supporting his microphone.
We're never doing this again.
Or
No,
about
using this
bikes
table.
or-
You guys are welcome here anytime, but that table's going to not work out. So they said, yeah, we should have you ready probably around the 1st or 2nd week of February. This is November 20th that they're telling me. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I can't have a car I cannot have a car for 4
Are they
months.
3D printing the frame?
Well, it turns out there's not frames of 2021 Tacomas just sitting around in the year 2024.
you know why? Because nobody replaces the frame
Well,
on a vehicle.
exactly. And I said that, and he goes, well, now technicians are getting better, the tools or whatever. That's what the insurance company said. So turns out they don't have them laying around. They have to be manufactured. But you can't contact Toyota and Toyota contact their manufacturer and go, we need one frame. They have to wait until they get whoever this supplier is nationwide. They have to get a minimum order. I don't know if it's 5. I don't know if it's 12. So I had to wait 2 months or a month and a half just for them to be able to start building the frame. Then it took them almost a month to build the frame. Then they have to ship it to Toyota. Then Toyota has to send it to the body shop, and the body shop has to disassemble my goddamn truck and put it on a new frame.
But in the meantime, you can still ride your bike.
I know, but in the meantime, I don't have a car.
Or a truck.
Which the point I'm getting at is I don't have a vehicle to load my tools up to go to the trail and keep cutting trails. So we had all this momentum going into end of October, and then complete shutdown.
That makes sense.
Well, or they could have just written me a check and I could have bought a truck and I'd only had about a 3-week delay or 2-week delay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, this is an experiment for us. We are unpaused, so this should be the same file. I've never done it that way before, so we'll see how that works. Welcome back, right?
Are you guys okay? Is everybody all right?
I think I'm all right.
Holy shit. I'm still breathing hard.
It's a good thing we're amateurs.
If
all our
Hey, guys,
sponsors are going to be so upset about this.
Hey guys, how can we make the wheels fall off louder?
Well, the power could go out.
It's like this whole podcast threw a rod through the engine block.
All right, now I do have more. I'm so confused. Okay, so
About life in general, or
About what happened.
okay, so what the hell did you do to tweak the frame to begin with? Any idea?
That's the best part. He doesn't know.
Colorado, maybe overlanding to go camping, but I didn't do anything at massive speed. I did everything I did should be within the limits.
No,
of
and I guess
4x4 Tacoma.
that's what I'm getting. There was nothing that that hurt or that was.
There were a few impacts, but nothing that I thought, oh my God, this just bent my frame. It would be rolling over something fairly slow and then boom, impact like that, but not.
Did you have the bed loaded with shit or?
I had some camping equipment in there, but I wouldn't think it's more than
a
couple
like
100 pounds.
Okay, not like
I wasn't towing
a
anything.
truck camper or anything like that.
No. I had my camper shell, my Lear or my
and then
Lear on the back.
No uprights with the overland tent thing up there or anything like
just
that.
the truck. Yeah, just the truck with
That's crazy.
my tire pressure. I probably had 20 pounds in my tires.
I'm gonna call bullshit. You did not bend the frame in Colorado. So
I don't know. I mean, well, the other theory is that it could have been hitting potholes in construction in the DFW area as well, which State Farm says they're consistently having claims for that as well.
Okay,
but the cross beam that goes from basically front wheel to front wheel where your radiator is connected.
Yeah.
That support brace or whatever that cross brace is. The driver's side of that cross brace was raised about an inch, and the housing that holds the headlamp was the metal. Let's call it a metal tongue that goes from the headlamp casing that connects to that cross brace was completely sheared in half. Like the metal was actually ripped in half. So it was still connected to the cross brace and it was still connected to the headlamp, but there was a break, right? It was completely separated. So who knows?
Tacomas are pretty tough vehicles. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't understand. Like when you drive up to 10, 11,000 feet on these rough roads, you only see like 2, maybe 3 types of vehicles. It's a Tacoma or a Jeep
or a Subaru.
Maybe a Subaru, maybe a 4Runner. That's it.
Right.
But the majority you see are Jeeps and Tacomas. That's the vehicle of choice. A medium, mid-sized truck.
Understood.
So I'm baffled. Yeah, very well could have hit something and bent it. If I bent it, then something's wrong. I shouldn't have.
Right.
I mean, outside of if you like dropped it off of a big rock and it just slammed down. If something like that happened, maybe you're not going to bend it on the trail without knowing. Oh,
that probably fucks something up.
That probably fucks something up. Or where they tell you about it, it's like, oh, I bet it was that one hit. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, right.
There's okay, so unless the new tacos are shit, maybe they are. I don't know.
It will probably be my last.
I understand.
I think so.
I understand.
Not happy with Toyota these days.
There's a lot of that going around at the moment,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
They just don't build them like they used to.
They don't build them like
I
they
mean,
used to.
I feel like a geezer saying that, but it's the absolute truth.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, old Bessie made it all the way to Houston and back. No issues, no problems.
Old Bessie's not that old if she has a steering wheel warmer.
That's true. 2016.
They had steering wheel warmers in 2016. You were bougie back then.
On those big fancy trucks they did.
Yeah.
How are you a bougie old man back then?
Well,
You just did it.
that was
Took life by the horns.
That was the medium package on a G. So that's the thing that most people don't understand. Like GMC and Chevrolet, even though they come out of the same factory, the base level GMC is like a mid-level Chevy.
No, I think people
I
are
think
pretty aware that
people are aware
GMC
of
is a
that.
higher level Chevy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an overpriced Chevy. For what you get. I like GMC.
The
My
problem is-
brother sells GMCs.
I could not buy that truck
Oh,
today.
hell no.
Well, I mean, have you seen the price drops that are coming on all this stuff?
Mhm.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
It's inevitable though.
So, Stellantis, Stellantis, which is Ram and Jeep, Chrysler.
Never heard that before.
Well, now you have
Let me Google that.
30% off MSRP now in effect. Ford is doing the same as well. Probably fair to assume.
You think this is
GMC?
knee jerk and too late, too little, too late? You think they just have? I mean, because we've been seeing this ever since the lot started filling back up. Because there was that period for like 2 years.
See, I don't make this shit up.
No,
I've just never heard Stellantis as the mother group of it was always Chrysler, something Chrysler.
Dahmer Chrysler.
Yeah.
And Stellantis took them over, I think, in 2019, I think.
I've never heard that before.
And then
I just didn't know.
Nissan is about to be taken over by Honda.
That tracks.
Wow. These headlines. New car market prices set to crash in 2025. It's begun, the car market crash of 2025. Ford just shocked the car market.
So the bike industry is not far behind that.
No, actually, I think the bike industry is actually the precursor.
Yeah.
So what we've been seeing in the bike industry is what basically the rest of the economy is going through.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's what I meant to say, and that's where I was getting at is, we went through that period. Same thing in cycling and in automobiles. You had a lull where you couldn't get anything, and then everything stacked out to now there's a surplus of just about everything.
And RV industry too, because we're starting to look at upgrading our camper. Taking our old one and going to leave it on the property in Georgia, but we'll need to replace it with something.
Yeah.
And that's Jan and I were talking about this past week. Realistically, just prior to COVID, that was our last round of buying stuff. End of 2019, I got my new truck. We got the camper. She got her Jeep, and then COVID kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, towards the end of 2019, January of 2020, people forget about it, but the economy was going to shit then.
Before COVID, you mean?
Yeah, prior to COVID, the economy, it was getting rough. They weren't selling cars. They weren't selling bikes. They weren't selling RVs. The housing market was people were starting to panic on it just prior to COVID. And then COVID came and everything that was associated with that, whatever, we had this weird COVID economy for the past 4 or 5 years or whatever it is. And now we're kind of getting back to where we left off in 2019 from the economic standpoint is all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. This isn't politics or anything like that. It's COVID just took our economy into this weird place for a few years. And now we're kind of resetting. We're almost
it was headed that way anyways. It just accelerated it, right?
Well, COVID gave us a false good economy where people sold all their bikes and people sold all their cars and people sold all their RVs and people sold their houses for twice their value and shit like that. And that was just this weird bubble for whatever. We can come up with all sorts of reasons why that. I'm not going there. I'm just saying, that was an outlier a couple of years. And now we're kind of coming back to where 2019 was starting to track. And I mean, but hey, I just bought another truck and I'm about to buy another camper. Jan just bought another car. So who knows?
Y'all got rid of the Subaru?
Well, I mean, we bought the Subaru last year. But you know, and hey, we'll be selling the house. So.
Now he's got a Colorado. Is it Colorado?
Canyon.
No, it's Colorado.
Oh,
Yeah.
Colorado. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not bougie like Brad. I can't afford a GMC.
So just for clarification, my dad retired from General Motors.
Oh, you got that friends and family deal?
Yeah. I was raised on GM vehicles.
Yeah.
So I've always had General Motors. When the new Beetles came out, I got one just to dick around.
I don't remember that at all.
1999 or
Something
8?
like that.
Oh, so that was before I knew you. Okay.
Yeah, the new Beetles,
What color was it?
white. I've
Okay.
always been a white vehicle guy.
Yeah.
Well, my first two vehicles weren't white, but
That's
I think,
racist.
I think everything after that has been white.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good band.
Jack White.
The Beatles.
Oh, the Beatles.
The B-E-A-T.
Let's get back to bicycles.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait a minute. This might appeal to y'all as well.
I'm kind of itching for a new bike.
Okay. What are you thinking about?
I haven't bought a bike in
Aren't we all?
2 years. Yeah, but I've gone 2 years without buying a bike.
I think it's well. Okay. So let's go back to the bike economy of things. We were a year ago. We were saying, all right, I think we've hit bottom. But it's not going to turn around. It's not going to just go.
I think the majority of the decline has stopped, but I think we're still inching down.
I mean, we're bottoming,
and trying to level out.
I think we've hit bottom, but we're just kind of
We're dredging.
We're leaving it. Yeah, we're dredging. Leaving a little bit of a trench at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've bottomed out for the most part. But it's not going to go up substantially from here for a while. It's gonna take a couple years.
I came really close to Salsa had a really good deal on what's their XC bike? I always forget.
Spearfish.
Mm-mm.
That's
Horse thief.
Yeah, the Horse Thief.
That's not an XC bike.
The Spearfish is the Horse
Spearfish is what they call a down country,
yeah, Horse
and
Thief.
the Horse Thief is even more of a down
I'm
country.
I'm fucking up this story. Hold on.
Is a horse thief down country? Well, what is down country? I can't keep track of all these
So,
terms.
I think the
Down country is so,
What's free ride? What's enduro? What's down country?
So Adam and I just had this conversation on the way back from Huntsville. XC
Spearfish.
used to be, back in the day, before like full suspension was a big deal, XC meant you had an 80 mil fork. Forget geometry at this point. We're just talking travel.
XC was racing, generally speaking.
Yeah. And then we went from an 80
single track racing,
we went from an 80 mil fork to a 100 mil fork.
Mm-hmm.
And then full suspension came on, and an XC bike typically had 80 in the back and 100 in the front.
And then it went 120.
And then it went 120,
and
100. And that was still considered XC.
Yeah, or free ride. They started labeling those free ride too.
Not really. Not with a 120 mil fork. That's when it went to like 140. But then when bikes started going 120, 120, that's when it got into down country.
Okay, but again, what is the use case of a down country versus a free ride?
I think they were just getting away from the name of cross country, because even the bikes that we would kind of shoehorn into cross country.
I mean,
down country was in between XC and enduro, like an all trail.
All trail and free ride
in between cross country and
I feel like chaos is about to happen again.
Oh,
like everything's going to start falling apart.
It's always imminent.
Microphones falling, noise.
It's always imminent.
The bicycle industry is its own worst enemy, is what this boils down to.
Yeah. This does say Spearfish is our progressive XC bike.
It is.
It's interesting to see anybody call a bike cross country anymore.
I've been saying it for a while. I'm sticking to my guns on it. Cross country is the next big thing in the mountain bike world. It's not like tomorrow, but It'll be going back to that over the next few years.
I wish I could just pull a clip from one of our shows where you said cross country is dead. I've been saying it for a while.
No. I can verify. He said multiple times that cross country's coming back. He has said that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, because I remember him saying that because it was hard for me to get my mind around that because I'm thinking, as he was saying it, I was thinking, well, we can barely get cross country races going on in the DFW area, but it's not necessarily about the competitive side. It's just he's mentioning like the riding style that's coming back.
The type of bike, the riding style and things like that.
And I love, even though I don't try to participate and race competitively cross country like I used to, that's still my preferred mountain bike geometry. I still want a snappy Orbea OE that has like super short wheelbase that I can whip around trees. I love that feeling, which is why I came really, really close to buying a Spearfish, but I couldn't. It's also had a great deal going on. They were like, I don't know, like 30% off, 25% off or something over the holidays.
Yeah.
I just couldn't justify spending that much money on it on myself during the holidays. That's kind of a hard thing to do.
I
Plus,
get it.
how much are you going to ride that bike?
I don't know, Brad. How much do you ride your Blackthorn?
0.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
have got it.
I'm trying to help you avoid the same mistake I made.
What mistake? You have another bike in the stable.
You know what you need for your N+1? You need a Brompton, because I'm telling you, that thing as a kinky N+1 that you think is.
Are you trying to single-handedly save the Brompton brand?
No, no, that ain't going to happen.
Did you see this article on Cycling News?
I heard about it, and and I was talking about the bicycle industry being its own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that made me think about it. Now, that's one of those things. The numbers don't add up. What, they went from 10.6 million one year to 4,600.
Yeah, that doesn't.
So
that's somebody trying to show a big loss.
This is accounting more than anything for those. I mean, did Brompton's did their sales go down last year? I'm sure they did.
Fill me in. What headline am I missing? I'm looking for a Brompton headline on Cycling News.
It's under road.
Well, I'm definitely not clicking that.
At the very top, see where it says road?
Oh, God.
Basically, Brompton came out with their earnings last week or two or something like that, and a huge decline from 10.6 million in profits in 2023 to 4,600 in. I'm assuming these are pounds.
It says pre-tax profits, which I don't know if that makes a big difference, but it says the headline is "The industry shot itself in the foot," in quotes. And it says Brompton boss blames lack of sales as profits crash by 99%.
But again, but
hyperbolic.
But again, when you start getting into corporate P&L and taxes and stuff like that, those accountants can make numbers do anything they need to for whatever the tax legislation is. I'm assuming they're England. Maybe they're Euro. I'm positive they're not United States. I don't know.
It's pounds.
Okay. So I'm not going to look at those numbers and go, oh my God, the bottom fell out for Brompton. They went from 10.6 billion to 4,600. That's accounting games isn't the right word. That's accounting is what that is.
Some of that Oak Cliff fuzzy math right there.
But did their numbers decline? Probably, yeah.
Oh yeah, but not as drastic as they're reporting.
I don't think it's that.
So what's crazy is these are back-to-back paragraphs, and the first one, they're both really short, but they're such a contrast to each other. It says, in the company's accounts filed at Company's House and published late December, it was revealed that the company's profits fell from that number you were saying, 10,680,000 to just 4,600 for the 12 months ending March 31st, 2024. So that's not even the full year. I don't know what they're talking about.
It may be their fiscal year.
Yeah. So you heard that. And then the very next paragraph, in what is described as a challenging year for the group, sales dropped 5.3% to 122.6 million, courtesy of an 8.2 reduction in bike sales, down from 85,000 from $91,000 the prior year.
Okay.
So those two paragraphs are literally in opposition of each other.
Okay. So as an example, I mean, getting overly simplistic. So they're coming out with that new G Line bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that they took all their R&D and marketing and everything like that and rolled it into their 2024 numbers associated with that bike. And they just took all of that expense in 2024 that in other accounting practice, maybe you amortize it over 5 years sort of thing. Oh, let's just go ahead and take that financial off the top end now.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's accounting at that point. Yeah. So ultimately it's a 10% or less decline in sales is what I'm hearing from that second paragraph, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So and then they throw out those big numbers like that and they come out with a big headline associated with it. And they probably took a blurb from the CEO or CFO or whoever it was where he said, well, just conversationally, just like I said, the bike industry is shooting itself in the foot these days.
Yeah.
And they turn it into a headline of he's blaming everyone else.
How does that benefit Brompton to say, hey, the ship is burning? I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Did he say that? I think it's more than likely it's just a phrase taken out of context.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. But how are you going to put that profits crashed by 99% in your headline? I mean, that's just
because it got us to click on it.
Yeah, but we all know it's absolute crockery.
No, we don't all know that. 85% of the people are gonna their takeaway is gonna be the headline only. They're not even gonna click on it, and they're gonna say, "Oh my God, Brompton's sales went down 10 points."
They're shitting the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
So this does say,
and they may be. I'm not defending Brompton here. I'm just. This is the positioning of it all.
Whatever. We know you're a Brompton cuck.
This
is compounded by a 15% increase in operating costs.
Oh, sounds like they need to do something.
And again, I bet that 15% is directly related to that new G Line that they came out with.
Mm.
Oh, ramping up for the investment to build that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long article. I can't read it all while we're talking, but I think it's a crock of shit.
Well, I mean, there's probably there's validity to it, but it's not at the extremes, the hyperbolicness of the headline sort of thing. And yeah, the bike industry is still shooting itself. Ultimately, that's what we're up against here. But not only the car industry is shooting itself, the automobile industry is shooting itself in the foot. The everything industry.
But greed is at the spearhead of all of this. I mean, the car industry, people were hoarding cars and getting a premium from them, and it created a falsified scarcity within an actual scarcity. And so they had already gotten prices to the absolute ceiling, and then you crash the economy, and then you have a stack up of vehicles, a surplus of vehicles at this point. It's a whole snowball effect. And now you drive by some of these lots. I was in the middle of nowhere, and there was a General Motors Chevrolet dealership, and they had like 9 or 10 Hummers on the lot. And I'm talking, I can't remember where we were. It was like Madisonville or something like that, like Buffalo, Texas. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You're like, who the hell ordered 10 Hummers? Those are $100,000 vehicles.
Right. Well, nobody at that dealership did. GM shoved them down their throat.
Yeah.
Oh, you want these Colorados? Well, you got to take these too.
Yeah. But I'm like, that's just fuckery at a higher level.
I mean, it could be said that's the whole corporate economy that we've turned into over the past 40 years, where, I mean, my last gig, couple gigs in corporate America, nobody was looking past the next quarter. Everything was metrics to get to the next. Nobody cares about what the effect of this is 3 years from now, 5 years from now. It's like, I I got to keep my job through the next quarter.
Yeah.
Or if you're at that sea level, I just got to pocket my big bonus this year
Yeah.
because I don't know what next year brings for me, sort of thing. So,
Well,
bonus. Who got a bonus?
the sea level did.
Yeah, you're damn right they did.
I guarantee you, the sea level did.
Yeah.
If they've got a job, they get their bonus. Their bonus is they lose their job with that golden parachute attached to it.
remind me to tell you what Gage Addison got for a Christmas bonus.
We're sitting here.
No, I don't want to tell his business
on
the radio.
Okay.
By the way, good kid.
He is a good kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Despite us.
He got me a
How did he get raised that way?
I was out of town a lot.
Was that back when you were a traveling salesman?
That's when he was an engineer.
He got me a brand new tangle for my bike.
Nice.
Unfortunately, he got me the wrong size, but we're in the process of getting that changed out.
Okay.
And as luck would have it, if I would have had it this weekend, I would have been in a better spot. My zipper finally gave up the ghost on the left side of my tangle. So I had to take a pocket knife and poke a hole in my zipper top and bottom and zip tie it shut.
Okay.
So
That's the way you do it.
It's not an adventure until something goes wrong.
that was fun riding in the rain.
And weather's always a
with
factor.
my bag wide open to the elements.
Oh, I got something that might be of interest to you guys
Talk to me.
Yeah, let's do it.
with your Louisiana connections.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new Spinistry ride. We're doing February 1st, 3rd, I think. First week of February. We're trying to take care of our Shreveport area members.
Oh, very cool.
Interesting.
And Mr. Waldschmidt and I went and scouted a very, very cool primo route out of Jefferson, Texas. Are y'all familiar with Jefferson?
Absolutely. That's my backyard.
There is some fantabulous riding to be had. And oh my God, you will not want to do it single speed. You're going to need some climbing legs and climbing gear. I was shocked how much climbing there is out there.
There's a ton of elevation over there. Have you ever ridden the Monkey Trail in Shreveport?
No, I have not.
It's really close to the state line. But it's a howler monkey retirement place.
I'm familiar with it. I just haven't ridden it.
It's got some killer elevation like you wouldn't believe for just Louisiana. And it's so weird because you literally change flora and fauna halfway through the trail. It just goes tropical all of a sudden. You're like, where are we?
What, from pines to tropical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like we went through the same thing down in Huntsville where all of a sudden there's palms and all this stuff.
The palmettos and everything.
So pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Louisiana has a lot of deceptive elevation. And it's sporadic, you know.
It's extremely sporadic.
Yeah.
I mean, I found some really, really cool stuff when I was laying out the going to California route.
Do you have a name for this event yet? Because it would be fun to somehow incorporate antiques into it.
No, it would not.
It wouldn't?
No.
Jefferson's the antique capital of Texas.
I understand that, and I found that out towards the end of the trip. So
Kind of hard to miss.
Well, we didn't start in Jefferson. Well, we started in Jefferson proper, but where we started is what Rich refers to as the Spinistry side of town, not the antiquer side of town.
Okay. All right.
You know what the kids call, you know what antiquing is for kids? It was a trend that went around. It was
Buying tape cassettes?
no. So where you take a handful of flour and you throw it in somebody's face. And so they have this just powdered face look.
Oh, someone's getting punched in the mouth if
Yeah.
they do that.
But it was a viral trend that went around for a long time. It was like a prank and it was called antiquing.
Okay. Kids are dumb.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know what to say to that. Hey, why is Brad watching this content to begin with?
It went around for quite some time.
All right. So we're going to do an event in Jefferson.
We are. Well, a Club Spinistry ride. And
Okay.
it'll hopefully turn into an event. The idea is we're going to be doing more Shreveport-centric stuff going forward. And that's our first one. That's Shreveport specific.
I have plenty of connections over there if you need ears on the ground or you need someone to give you any kind of intel.
I mean, we have a pretty good base of members there already.
Okay.
And I've been threatening them for a couple of years that I was going to do stuff specific for them, and now I'm finally following through with my threat. So the idea will be, when we're zipping over to Florida or Georgia, maybe do something on the way there, out that way, and maybe something on the way back as well, sort of thing.
This says that Gladewater is the antique capital of East Texas.
Yeah, they claim that. Now, that's where I literally grew up, was in Gladewater.
Oh, really?
Well, right out, like maybe 4 miles outside of Gladewater. Yeah, I've got a lot of history out there. I got a question for you guys.
7 inches, dressed to the left.
So I bought a helmet. I had finally replaced my POC octal with a new white POC octal, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking at tail lights and stuff. What, with the exception of the tail lights that have cameras built into them,
Mm-hmm.
where do you guys draw the line for how much you pay for a tail light? Where do you balance cost versus who cares? It's safe. I'm going to go with the safest route possible, because I'm looking at a light that retails for $55.
That's not crazy.
It's not crazy anymore, but like on medium, it burns for 14 hours on medium.
Yeah, send me the link. I want to see it.
Okay.
I've been entertaining getting one with a camera. Was it the Vizio?
You have that, don't you?
The Varga, the
Varia. That's the Garmin version.
Yeah, I've been looking at getting one of those just for ease of use and ease of mind. The compatibility with my Garmin head unit, those kind of things. But the price has been a barrier for me. So I don't know if I have a number that I could say I'm not paying more than this. But when it comes to having the camera, especially knowing your situation and everything, I have been entertaining it for quite some time, and I need to in fact, Paula offered to get me one for Christmas and I declined. I don't know why. I have just a cheap ass Blinky that's USB chargeable. The thought was I can charge it on the bike. It uses the same charger that I already carry.
Yeah. Well, I was noticing that when did we do a ride last? Was that, when we did a Sunday Ramble a couple weeks ago, and I noticed that your light and Justin's light were almost useless. And mine's not very bright, because it's not very bright. Your light's not very bright. It's really not for daylight riding. And neither was Justin's.
It has different brightness settings. I must not have had it that bright.
No, I know. I'm just saying, well, that's the point of the conversation I'm getting at. Let's just say it's not as bright as this new one I'm looking at, which is let me make sure
Well, I wasn't finished it yet.
Well, I haven't even said what kind of light it is. So
that's fair.
Okay.
But I was talking about the camera versus my cheap. And then I rode with Shannon this weekend. And, Shannon's running a SON hub, a generator hub.
Yeah.
And he has a tail light that is wired to...
Yeah. The new...
but it doesn't blink. It doesn't blink. It's solid because it's a European. In Europe, you're required to have a rear light, and it's a requirement that it does not blink.
In some parts of Europe.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder why. You would think that the blink is more attention grabbing?
And that's the problem, is because I could be wrong, but it's like a moth to the flame. Like, people tend to run into people with blinking lights.
My understanding is the German, it's the Bavarian countries that have this restriction. It's actually, the logic is very German. It's not that it draws more attention to you and you're more likely to get hit. That's very much a USA drunk driving thing. No doubt about that. The German excuse for the no blinking light is it does attract more attention towards you, which takes the driver's attention away from other things around them that they might be paying attention to.
That tracks.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that logic if you're in a very cycling-centric country where people wave and say hello to the cyclists as they drive by and don't try to run them over intentionally.
Wow.
That may be appropriate in Germany. In the United States, I want that blinking light where people know I'm there and give them plenty of warning of, please move over some before you get here. Just a little bit.
Speaking of, on Sunday, we were literally in the scenario I was telling you about. 70-mile-an-hour road, 1 foot, 2 foot shoulder tops with the rumble strip.
Right.
18-wheelers passing us doing 80 miles an hour.
Right.
Not even coming off the line, not relenting at all.
Yeah.
So it's throwing just 80-mile-an-hour winds, rain from the road.
Whatever garbage the tires are kicking up along the way.
And it was just brutal.
Yeah.
There was a couple of times where I was like, holy shit, I'm still alive. I mean, it was crazy.
I personally, I wouldn't do. I'm not saying you were wrong to do. I wouldn't be able to do that.
I wouldn't do it again. If I would have left that donut shop and known what it was going to be like, it would have been a different conversation. But then once you were in it, it's like, well, we got to get it done.
Yeah. So let me run my rear light.
Yeah.
Preferences.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. And I'm not saying this is what anybody else should do, but here's what my findings have been over the years. You guys were assuming that I had the Vario with the camera, which I do not. I did used to have the rear camera, the Cycle IQ or whatever it was, and that's the one that did collect the footage of my accident that you guys saw.
Which is crazy that tech was around 8 years ago.
It was.
Yeah.
It's kind of like dash cams. All right. Ultimately, even with the modern ones, you have to spend a bunch of money to get good enough video quality to actually be usable. It has to show the detail of making out that license plate number. It has to show the detail of, oh, we know for sure that was Caleb that was driving that vehicle, not somebody else that might have been in the car.
Yeah.
That's lots of hoops to jump through and lots of random luck that needs to be in place for it to be useful from that perspective. Is it useful from peace of mind of I can show somebody, hey, it wasn't my fault. It was somebody else's fault. Yeah, but that's not going to get you any more law assistance, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So for me, the camera is not a focus, but what most assuredly is a focus of mine is I'm willing to spend my $150 to $200 for a rear blinky that has the Vario radar on it.
Okay.
And if I have no problem whatsoever paying that money for that. But in addition, I will have another super bright blinky of some sort on the bike. Usually, it used to be a Lesign. I'm a fan of the Lesign stuff in general. But again, going back to my red shiftedness, I'm a huge fan of those red shift pedals as well. And I think those are the best blinkies you can have because you have the up and down motion and the blinking light. People know you're coming.
Yeah.
Or they know they're coming up on you, I guess is a better way to phrase it.
Well, serendipitously. You like that word?
I do.
That's an educated man's word.
That's an even extra.
I won't even charge you for that extra word.
That's an extra syllable.
This light I'm referring to is a Lesign. It's called the Lesign Strip Drive Pro 400 Plus rear. Come on, guys. Just give it a one name. Just give it a one name. This is fucking ridiculous. Say that
again.
Lesign Strip Drive Pro 400 Plus rear.
It's going to cost you $400 for the stripper in the rear. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Anyway, what a terrible name. But listen to this. It's got 7 modes. Those 7 modes range from 5.5 hours at its
brightest.
No.
Oh,
yeah. Blast at its brightest. 5.5 at the blast. From 5.5 hours to 80 hours. So 80 is what's called femto. I don't know what that means, but it's only 5 lumens. But just like the regular pulse or the flash 1 is between 14 and 11 hours, which is pretty good.
Yeah. And they recharge quickly too.
I thought, okay, well, this is going to be extremely heavy. No, it's 71 grams. It's not heavy at all.
What's the price point on that?
$54.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there aren't better lights out there. I'm not saying that Lezine's the best. I'm saying over the years, I've been very happy with my Lezine lights.
It has 10 LED lights and it has a 270-degree visibility range, which is really good because people can see it from almost the front. I mean, 270s.
That's bigger than 180.
Yeah, it is. If you carry the 2 and divide by 4 and add pi, it's more or less or more. Yeah.
We're boring, Brad.
No, that was just I was looking for something because Roy runs those Nog.
That Nog is, if you want blast your face off at night, that's Nog is the best light.
Is it Nog or is it Canog?
Oh, I call it Nog. They're Australian, so they're definitely being silly bitches. It's Nog.
Yeah, I think it's Nog. I don't know.
They don't have a massive amount of battery life, but if you want a bright ass light for the day,
I was about to say, I think that's what I like the lights for how bright they are and the versatility in mounting and so forth. But if I remember right, they didn't have the longest battery life.
It's because they're so damn bright.
This one's 270 lumens. Though I know the one that Roy has is ridiculous. Like you don't want to ride behind him.
You don't want to ride behind him.
But this is 330 degrees of light. That's what it says.
Holy shit.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Up to 100-hour runtime, waterproof, IP67, but it's $90 when you talk about, point of entry here, because it's literally just a rechargeable light. There's nothing fancy about it. And it's 270 lumens. Let's see. Eco Flash is 15 lumens. That's 100 hours. But everything else is 2 to 6 hours. So that 100 hours is just a mode they put in there that probably goes.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll probably be suitable at night, on a dark road that nothing else can be seen.
Yeah.
Is going to be suitable at night in an urban environment with street lights and caution lights and stuff like that. Probably not.
But when I think of a rear tail light, I'm thinking of something that's going to serve well on the Rat. So,
I agree. I agree.
Something that is easy to maintain and keep charged on a long multi-day trip, and something that's going to work in multiple different environments, like your rural road and your heavy city traffic, whatever, So, but I'm also looking for something that's easy to turn on and off. That's my other thing.
Well, I mean, the right bottle of wine, maybe some Kenny G in the background.
A foot massage goes a long way.
Some hors d'oeuvres. That usually works. But
I don't know where you guys are going with all this.
Yeah.
But I don't think $55 is even close to too much to pay.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm gonna pay. I'm gonna get this light because the 2 lights I have, they're bright, but they don't last quite as long. And I find myself in extreme weather, like Texas has, extreme heat or extreme cold. They just, I can fully charge my light, go out for an hour or 2 ride, and then come home, and then in the heat, and then the next morning they don't even work. So I'm constantly, every time I ride, I have to take my light off and plug it in. Someone says it's going to last a little longer and just be really bright. So yeah, I don't think $54 at this point for safety is not a big deal. Because I know some people, especially within our riding group, that would look at that and go, I don't know why you would buy that for that much money. It's just a fucking light.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty. We went on this trip this weekend, and everybody knew that there was a chance we were going to ride into the dark, and we were going to be riding on roads. There were people there with no headlight, no tail light.
Yeah, well,
and I don't know. I mean, obviously, I brought my bike where my headlight is hard mounted, and I always run a blinky. So I showed up. I wouldn't show up to any ride without that. Pretty much.
Yeah. And they're so light now. I have I keep a spare on my frame most of the time anyway. I keep one on the chainstay, kind of on the drive side, or
A spare
the
blinky.
spare blinky on the roadside when you're on the shoulder.
Yeah, I put mine on the roadside chainstay or seat stay, just because I had my tail bag on.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So 2025, is the bike industry going to start to come back up, or is it going to parlay into 2026? What do you think, Kevin?
I think we're still going to struggle through 25. It'll be 26. And before I still think there's going to be another major shutdown somewhere in the mix, or out of business, or takeover or something. I think that's still a likely scenario. It could happen.
Who is it that just announced? Was it Santa Cruz?
Was it Santa Cruz? I think. No, Santa Cruz had the factory that was shutting down. GT
shut down.
Oh, GT shut down. That's right.
Matter of fact, I just I was looking at my email, and I'm already seeing there's a retailer called CambriaBike.com, and they're selling GTs for 47% off.
Yeah. Actually, Clarence and I were talking about it a little bit the other day. The best thing the bicycle industry could do right now would be for the big national brands like Giant or Trek or Specialized or somebody like that to just like open just this huge warehouse, like, almost like a Nebraska Furniture Mark, and just stock it with all of their regional warehouses of low end bikes. $1,000 is the highest price bike they sell there. Have people on site that can properly fit people to a bike, teach them how to do some basic changing a tire, just stupid basic stuff like that. But you have all these low end bikes that will attract people that, $400 to $1,000. Oh, you were going to buy a $250 Walmart bike. Well, why don't you spend an extra $150, talk to a real bicycle consultant, and get exposed to a Trek or a Giant or something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe have a pump track outside or stuff like that. Have rentals available and demo units and stuff like that, just to kickstart the industry itself.
That becomes a big machine, though, because that begats parts.
That's what I'm saying. Those guys have all of that in all their local factory stores now, as it is.
I see what you're saying. So instead of warehousing it somewhere where it's inaccessible, basically use a showroom as your warehouse that you could still ship stuff out of, as well as a retail location.
A retail for the lower end stuff, and then the higher end stuff goes to the boutique stores, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And go ahead and set up that differentiator. And that's where the bicycle industry shot itself in the foot the past couple years. They convinced themselves that during that COVID boom, that a $4,000 bike was the new entry-level bike that everybody wanted.
Yeah.
And nothing could be further from 5 minutes. Does that mean we got to leave, or it means you got to leave?
No, in about 5 minutes, we got to cut out.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got to, at least. You guys can stay if you need to keep talking.
Yeah, it's probably.
I got a 15-minute chat I need to have.
Okay, understood. So that's I don't think I think we're at the bottom, but I don't think we're going to see a huge uptick prior to 2026.
Yeah.
I apologize if I missed. What's the best case scenario? Like what is the not bad part? What's the best it's going to be, in your opinion?
I mean, I think
is it going to be better?
I think it will be better. Well, because like we were just talking about, the bike brands themselves are recognizing that a $4,000 bike is not an entry level bike. They're putting out $2,000 bikes again.
Yeah.
That are decently. I actually shot a video yesterday of this Cannondale that for $2,000. It's a great gravel bike.
Right.
It would be a great bike packing bike. It's a great starter bike for somebody that's wanting to do, air quotes, real cycling, as opposed to somebody that just wants a Walmart bike to spin around the block once or twice a year.
There's also trickle down technology that keeps continuously lowers the bar for good tech. Historically in mountain biking, it was always this year's XDR is next year's XT. So basically you could have this year's XDR.
I'm one of those that argues that's where the bicycle industry's been shooting itself in the foot, though. We don't need, we don't, the majority of riders don't need in this newest version of XTR that's 2 grams lighter and more complicated. And we're going from 10 to 11 to 12 to 13 speed. God knows when are we going to be 14 speed.
I understand all that, but that's not what N+1 is based on. N+1 is not based on needs. It's based on wants. And what I'm saying is 5 years ago, the bike that today cost you $2,000 did cost you almost $4,000 back then. And not tit for tat.
No, I understand.
But the technology has gotten better and it has surpassed what it was 5 years ago. So 5 year ago tech is a lot cheaper.
All right. So let's really broad stroke this and maybe we'll roll it over to the next episode. Are you going to be able to join us next week too, Caleb? Any idea?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We'll roll it up here. But something for y'all to chew on and think about and tell me where I'm wrong. The bicycle industry has basically almost gone out of business twice before. And we're about there now again. Okay. In the late 70s, the bicycle industry was crashing. What saved it was the invention of the mountain bike. That completely turned the entire bicycle industry around. We can talk about the details of that another time.
Lance Armstrong saved cycling.
And that was my next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, the bike industry was going through the same thing. Specialized almost went out of business then. Lance Armstrong single-handedly saved the cycling industry at that time.
Pretty much.
We're up against our third iteration of the bicycle industry about to go out of business again.
And now we're looking to Pogača and Wout van Aert.
And it's not going to work. We need something
we need a real American hero.
No, we need something that brings up non-cyclists and interests them in the sport. The bicycle industry got caught up in gravel, thankfully, but that was a true N+1 upgrade. That took existing cyclists and said, here's another bike for you to buy.
Yeah.
That stretched out the death knell, but it did not cater to new cyclists.
I would like
you
to
could say Enduro did the same thing at a smaller level.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Enduro bikes, e-bikes, and gravel bikes.
I would argue that e-bikes are the antithesis of what you're saying.
E-bikes are potentially the exception. It needs to mature, and like the new California laws, for example, and how they affect things.
I don't know what you're speaking of.
We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Because Caleb's got to go, man.
I think e-bikes are taking more cyclists out of the Amish bike facet. I see it just anecdotally through members of my circle, so to speak, that have initially dipped their toe into the e-bike market that are, I would argue, are 60% e-bike riders now.
I don't dispute that, but again, that doesn't save the bicycle industry. You have to get
That's what I'm saying.
You have to get those people that aren't bicycle riders into it. And personally, I think the bicycle that is going to do that is going to be the e-bike.
See, I disagree with you.
Let me finish.
Yeah. Okay.
Is going to be the e-bike, but almost like the Confluence, a true pedal bicycle with true pedal assist capability like an e-bike, but you don't have to worry. I mean, it can go for 100 miles, or you can go not worry about needing pedal assist. It's a true jack of all trades bike that's $2,500 or less.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Back to your budget-friendly bike. If you take first bike purchaser, $500 pedal bike, $1,000 e-bike, which one is likely to buy another pedal bike?
You lost.
Depends on the type of rider. Depends on if it's
I'm just saying.
I mean, I think again, there has to be something that attracts people to that next level bike that's beyond a Walmart bike.
But I'm saying a new bike buyer, someone that's never owned a bike before,
right?
They buy a $500 bike, pedal bike.
Well, going back to what I was saying before, go back to the 80s when the mountain bike came out. The new bike buyer, a new mountain bike was $1,500 in 1982, which translates to about $4,000 now. A new bike rider in the early 2000s were buying $2,000 to $3,000 Roubaix or Epics or whatever else because of the Lance effect.
Yeah.
This was bringing in the newer, higher dollar bicycle riders for whatever reason.
But you're glancing over my point. I'm saying someone new bike purchaser, the likelihood of someone buying a pedal bike at $500 and then going back and going, this isn't quite enough bike, and buying a pedal bike for just call it $1,000 is highly more likely than someone buying their first bike and it being an e-bike and then going, you know what, I want a pedal bike.
No, what you want someone to do is their first bike to be that $1,000 to $1,500 or maybe $2,000 bike.
Totally glancing over my point.
Okay. Let's save it for next week because somebody has to go to work for the man.
DJ Caleb out.
Somebody's got to make money to pay for your guys' lunches.
Ride your bike.
Are you going to ride your bike today?
I'm yes.
Go ride your bike, right?
Yeah, I'm going to ride it.